What is up, everybody? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The the chat on screen is not doing the thing. Let's see if we can fix the thing on the fly. Let me channel my inner Ethan and see if we can diagnose the problem. Hmm. Interesting. Not working there either. Huh. So I can see the chat, it's just not showing up on the screen. Not entirely sure. But we're not going to let that stop us. There's no way. I just need to turn off the autofocus real quick. Sorry. We are slacking because we haven't streamed in like 3 weeks. It's been a minute. It has been a minute and I'm excited to be back. Too long of a break, if we're being honest. Too long of a break for anybody that was at Portland, and was, kind of like I said that I might be there. Anybody that was trying to find me or anything, I apologize. Um, it's actually pretty funny because I've always had the mentality that anytime somebody from like the West Coast um, would kind of like complain about having to go to like an East Coast, you know, event or whatever, I would kind of laugh and say like, "Bro, like suck it up. There's people like, traveling all the way from Europe for these callings and stuff." Uh then it's my turn to fly to Portland. And I was just like, "Nah." Oh, I'm such a hypocrite. But anyway, so I definitely understand it. It was like a 4-hour flight or something like that. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. But I am going to Chicago. That is booked. We are in there, and we'll be playing a little bit of LL. Just looking to have a good time. We're turning it into a little road trip with Josh and some other people, so it should be a pretty fun time. I'm looking forward to it. But what we can also talk about LL a little bit if we want to toward the end, but during the past 3 weeks, there was a major discussion on MST, mainly regarding to power level, obviously. And I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it. We've kind of spent a lot of time recently talking about MST specifically, right? We have basically we've talked about kind of why they pushed it out the gate and how they were hoping to kind of like latch on to the Japanese market, and kind of like we even broke down like the top 5 most played TCGs in Japan, and kind of like showed the correlations between MST and those, um to kind of show like why that kind of stuff those decisions were made. And also, very importantly, we we also analyzed how it might be a little bit too good because the opportunity cost associated with having blues in your deck is kind of negated inside the Mystic talent in constructed. So we've spent a lot of time talking about MST, and the main thing that I wanted to do, because there was a lot of discussion about it on Twitter, and I every single comment that I saw, it was either all the way like MST is the best set, don't say anything bad about it, or it was the worst thing ever that happened to the game, yada yada yada, right? And there was I could not find anything in between. So, what I want to do, and kind of what I anytime we have like these talking streams, just kind of like the discussions. Um, I just want to kind of just chat and kind of just discuss, you know, offer some ways to think about it before you actually formulate your opinion. And of course, you'll get mine by the end of it. But that's definitely what I wanted to. Definitely wanted to. Yeah, we could talk about some Jarl, some kind of first impressions now that the Ed's gotten the decks and kind of broke them open and kind of played with them a little bit. So we could definitely talk about anything else that you want to. And then also, there's this little game coming out. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Probably not. It's this little indie game called Path of Exile 2 that's coming out in a day or two. I will be playing it 100%. So we can even talk about that a little bit toward the end of the stream. I'm not going to do it in the middle because this is kind of like, a fab stream. So, but it's okay to talk about it on the same stream because they're both New Zealand companies. So that makes it okay. So we might chat a little bit of PoE too at the end of the stream, just for shits and giggles. If anybody's interested, if not, we can just close it out. No big deal. But me personally, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking really forward to it. So yeah, let's. Oh, where's my PoE 2 stream? We might have to break one out. We might have to. Okay, so let's talk about MST. Let's just go ahead and hop into it. And the biggest thing that I saw on the discussion was basically that it was not balanced. Okay. And I if you look at the data, and I do not have the data, I do apologize for that. That I don't have all the fancy graphs and things correlated in regards to um basically, the win percentages and all of that stuff. I've seen the data, I don't have it, but what I can tell you is it is overwhelmingly supporting the argument that MST is just head and shoulders above the rest. I'm not just talking about top 8 representation of one calling the most recent event or anything like that. I'm talking about if you broke it down through the entire Rosetta season, they have just dominated. Period. There is no argument. There's no discussion to be had. The proof is right here. Basically, I wish they would total at the bottom here to show how many points have been distributed from Rosetta. I really would enjoy that. But we've had 600, 145, and where's new at 205. So we've had about 1,000 points in one season distribute to the 3 MST heroes, which is basically translates to about 300 or 100 per month per hero, is basically how that breaks down. So each of the heroes are accumulating on average over these past 3 months 100 LL points, right? And we can kind of, does that necessarily mean that they're broken, right? And it's actually it is a valid point, but at the same time it also kind of isn't, because there's a lot of factors as far as player representation and things like that, but then there's a layer 3 to that where why are they playing those heroes? Is it because they enjoy them or they think they're just from a baseline just like the most powerful? And so basically what it comes out to what basically comes out in the numbers is they're obviously accumulating more points. Okay, but let's compare that to Rosetta. Okay, Florian got 200 during the season, and then Aurora got 345. I don't think Verdant's got barely any, and Acilio got barely any. So what? 55, 255, 55 on that is 600. Okay. So 60% compared to MST. Okay. Uh, so roughly a third less, give or take. And which is a decent margin, right? And then if we go if you want to take it a step further and you start comparing to like other sets, right? Let's just pick one. Let's do I don't know, Arcane Rising, which is like a good set right now, right? Because you got Viscerai in it, you got Azalea, they're both doing good. And also there's 4 heroes instead of just 3. Uh Going for Arcane Rising, you can say the same about Rosetta. So 270 plus the 30 here would be 300, 455 plus Kano would be 75. So it would basically be about 550, which is a little bit less than Rosetta. And then it just takes a plummet from there. Like the other sets, they're just not doing anything. If you were to take Bright Lights, it's just Dash IO. So basically, we have 3 sets that are kind of setting the meta currently. And that is Arcane Rising, MST, and Rosetta. Are basically the only ones making an impact inside the Rosetta season. Okay. I get 2,455 LL points total for Rosetta season. Okay, thank you for totaling that for me. So basically what that means is if they came to 1,000, the MST heroes, then that means that what is that, 40%? Uh yeah, it'd be like 40%, right? Because half would be about 1250. Yeah. So it would be about 40% of all of the LL points allocated in the Rosetta season went to 3 heroes in the same set, MST. Okay. Which is astronomical, right? Um, Now, does that necessarily mean that the complaints about MST are justified on Twitter? And before we answer that question, we have to dig into the whole idea. We know the set's pushed. We know that they pushed a little bit on purpose. We know this information. But what we need to do is understand, is it too pushed, right? And that's where we're trying to draw the line in the sand, and where we have to kind of analyze and take the context. Are they broken? Yes. Have you read them? Yeah, I mean they are very, very good. So someone in chat mentioned that 600 points for Enigma is wild. Believe it or not, what Zen did before he got the bans just went straight to Enigma. The only season before Rosetta season was MST, right? Obviously, because it was the second newest set. If you take 740 and minus 145 during the MST season, Zen got 595 points, basically the exact same as Enigma. So when Zen got the nerfs, all those points just went to Enigma. Is literally what happened. Literally. Now you can say that it was, you can say, oh well, it was just heavily weighted because the world championship. No, more points are allocated during the national championship season than worlds. So did one allocate more points? I'm sure one of them did. I'm not sure which one, but my money would be on national championship season. But very interesting. We just have to hope that she LLs before hunted somehow. Okay, so let's get into that point, right? And that kind of ties into the point that I'm trying to make around this entire argument. So we know the set is pushed. If you look at any data point, I don't care what conversion rates, win percentages, LL points, whatever you look at, I promise you, you will see a distinctive line between MST heroes and all the other heroes in Fab. There will just be a line in the data. I can guarantee you. I've seen it. I don't have it, but you'll just have to take my word for it. If you don't trust me, do your own homework. And basically, what happens? Okay, so LSS said that they kind of wanted to push the set to kind of help engage with the Japanese market or the onset of the Japanese market, which is understandable, right? Let's take a step back, look at it from their perspective, right? They wanted to make a good impression on that particular market because it's a very, very strong market for TCGs, if not the strongest. I think the US is the strongest, but Japan's probably right up there with it, if not more. I don't know. I just know it's a very strong market for TCGs. 100%. And so they wanted to, like, they wanted to, if you look at all of it, it was basically all catered to that market. The art, the theme, every aspect of it was catered. This set releasing in Japan was a year and a half in the works. I can guarantee it. I don't have that information. I don't know if it's been said in an interview, but I can guarantee that the design of this set and everything about it releasing in the Japanese market was all planned. Because I mean, it's just all the pieces are there to kind of support that statement. And so they want it to be strong, right? They don't want them to open weak cards. If they were to print bright lights and then give it to the Japanese market, I think it would be overwhelmingly rejected. I think they knew that. So they had to bring the spice, which is a very smart decision, right? So they decided in the development cycle, probably all of this is speculation. I don't know anything. I'm just speculating. I'm just trying to connect dots, kind of reverse engineer a little bit. And basically, we come to, okay, they agree that they probably need to push it for the release in Japan. Okay, so the goal is to create a set that is a little bit pushed. Okay. Now, and if it's pushed, it sells a lot of product. People are more engaged with it. All the streams are more, because I don't know the data on this, but I would assume that if you're a Japanese player, you are more likely to play an MST hero than any other hero simply because of having the access to the product. Like on that basis alone, I think that if you're in the Japanese market physically, that you would be statistically more likely to play an MST hero. Therefore, if it's stronger, it's on the streams, you're more engaged with the streams because it's heroes you're playing. Everything about it just kind of makes sense a little bit. And so we understand the thought process on why they want to push the set a little bit. Okay. And we also know why Traverse is not banned. You may not know, but you know why Traverse is not banned. They couldn't do that to the Japanese market. It just could not happen. Okay. And so they got put in a situation, and to be honest, Traverse might not even be entirely the problem because New doesn't even run the card. And New is still right up there with the other two. But granted, she's kind of like, she's offending the least, but I mean, she's still up there, right? Okay, so you don't want to take out or appropriately fix. How do I say this? Because I'm not trying to call anybody out or anything. I'm just trying to give the context in a manner to where it paints the entire picture so we can maybe understand why decisions were made or why decisions weren't made, all in the eyes of speculation. Like I said, I don't know any of this. I think I do know that I heard Brian say somewhere that he wished Traverse didn't block for two. Okay. I think he said that on an interview or something like that. And so that right there tells you that they would like to do something, but they can't. And then you ask yourself, well, why can't they? And it's because they just broke into the market. It was a success. And you do not rip away $175 cold foil or whatever it is at today away from those players' hands. They typically do not like that. It's not a good thing. And therefore, they do not want to do that. They can't do that. And it's also why they could not heavily ban any card from, like, let's be honest, Levels of Enlightenment should have been gone, if we're being 100% honest. It's a red inside of a blue that 3 heroes can use. It does too much. It's an amazingly designed card, I will admit. It's a very fun card, but it's simply too powerful. He said it should have been a 1 block. Okay, thank you for clarifying. And so why can the answer to the question is why? Well, we answered the question why they couldn't ban Levels or Traverse or something like that to bring these MST heroes after release back down to an appropriate level. And it's because they do not want to negatively impact the entry into the Japanese market, which makes sense, right? I'm not saying that's a bad decision. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good one either, but I'm saying that I understand one of the probable thought processes. That's all I'm trying to imply. Okay. Now, with that being said, what LSS has put them, the situation that they have put themselves in is drastically worse than that. And that is the mass exodus of all of these heroes out of the format via LL, right? And obviously, the overaccumulation of LL points is mainly due to either overrepresentation or imbalance. In this case, we know it's imbalance because most of the time the MST heroes aren't even the most represented and they're just killing it. But they are heavily played as well. With that being said, if these heroes, the thing that I'm scared about, and I'm not entirely sure LSS is truly calculated, and we've seen it in the decision of, I want to say one of the most panicky things I've ever seen LSS do is reinstate Zen into Blitz. Just like, oh yeah, he LL'd, like cool, but like he's back, right? It's like, it goes against kind of everything LSS has ever done in the past. And it's because they do not want to take those cards out of the Japanese market. And it's very, very important because some of you might say, well, those players will go play LL. Let me explain something to you real quick. I've been playing a little bit of LL the past couple weeks, and do I want to open that can right now? Okay, I'll put it this way, and then we'll dig into LL later, and if you really want my thoughts, because we got a calling coming up. The only reason why I would engage in the LL format is nostalgia. If I'm being 100% honest, it is the only reason. And all the MST players that entered with the Japanese market do not have nostalgia. Nostalgia is not something that is developed in 3 months or 6 months. It's just not, that's not how that thing works. And with that being said, if these heroes LL, you will lose a lot of the Japanese market. Not all of it, but you're asking a lot of people to basically say, okay, this deck that was worth, I don't know, $600 if you take out the staples, now it's worth $100. Let me double down. So they basically paid $500 to play something for 9 months, because that's all these MST heroes are on track to LL in like 9 months from their release. Who had, if I'm being completely honest, on your card? And the reason that I know that the only reason you're gonna play skirmish or LL format is nostalgia is I have heard everybody in chat tell me if you have either heard of how many people have attended LL skirmishes in your area in the past week. Was the number high, low, astronomically low? Because every number I have heard, I've heard like 9, 8, like abysmally low numbers for these LL skirmishes. Put it in chat if you've either heard that the numbers were low, or you have witnessed that the numbers were low or high. Whatever you have witnessed, put it in chat if you do not mind, please. I would love to hear kind of like those as just a data point. So 12 in my local, is that a lot? Is that normal? Is that less? I need a sense of relativity there, if you don't mind. It was the same as Blitz skirmish by me. Okay. So thank you. We didn't have any. We have 2 Blitz skirmishes. I heard one of them getting 10 at mine. Yeah. In the chat, try to give me some form of like relativity, right? Because like 10 at my area is shit's popping because I live in Alabama. There's no population here. So you know. About our usual armory. Okay, so that's not good. That's not good. So yeah. But I think that Ellis, the point that I'm overarching or over just trying to make is the reluctancy to fix the problem is going to lead to a much more severe one. That is my opinion. Because basically the whole point of you not banning Traverse is not going to matter because it will be banned anyway when there is not a hero that is playable or that is playable in, right? And the LL format is not going to carry or nullify that point as much as it would in any other market, right? If you were to look at like how LL would impact any market, the newer the market, I would expect statistically it would have the least amount of impact. Whereas if you like banned it in the US or something, it's like, okay, it might not hurt it as bad because like we're more inclined to, because we're going to get the Living Legend events as well, right? And yeah, I don't even know on top of that, but like after this skirmish season, like when are people going to get the opportunity to play LL that are living in Japan? Like where are they going to have an LL calling that's near Japan? They're just barely, I don't know. It's not doing it for me. And so we circle back to the question of, okay, they pushed the set on purpose. They could not fix, and they pushed it a little too much, I think. And they could not reel it in entirely in the thoughts of, in the thoughts of basically they didn't want to impact the Japanese market, which is leading to a compounding problem of it's going to impact the Japanese market anyway when all of these heroes LO. And it's literally getting to the point to where if they don't do anything by literally the next set release, if they don't do anything, then it's going to be out of their hands because too many points have been accumulated, right? We're at 750, 690, 580. They've literally accumulated 2,000 points between the three of the heroes. And game is too young, in my opinion, for people to care about LL. I 100% agree. I think down the road, it'll be a phenomenal thing. But I think it's solely going to thrive off of nostalgia. And we just don't have. Well, first of all, when people only get to play the hero for fucking 6 months, you're not going to get a lot of nostalgia. Let's just get that out there. So, circling back to kind of, I want to take a second on what is the appropriate amount of time for a hero to release in LL? Because God, we have instances of it all, right? Starvo LL'd in I think 8 months, 9 months, give or take. Uh, we have heroes from all the heroes technically from the first set are still playable. So we've had heroes last 3.5 years, and then we've had them last 8 months. And I don't know, like, if you were to sit down and ask Brian or James what is the ideal progression of living legend status, like, what is the ideal situation? And if I had to guess, if I had to make an honest guess, it would be something along the lines of like Azalea, where she was kind of dormant, spiked, but didn't spike to the point to where it was like bad, but she like had her time in the sun. And the time in the sun was a decent amount of time. I think that is like the most ideal situation that I can actually think of is kind of Azalea's lifetime. I think they would remove some LL points like 50 to 200 whenever they ban something from a deck. No, I don't know about that. Yeah, the second you start playing with the points, which is why I was extremely against just bringing Zen back in. I it just invalidates the whole thing, right? Because like if that happened, then like what's even the point? Well, I guess the honest question is who really gives a shit about LL and Blitz, first of all. But if they were to do that in CC, that would kind of be scary. It would kind of make you question. It would kind of make you question, the systems and what they're there for, and are they actually, there for a really good reason. And Nate, be honest, L is an arbitrary system. We need a rotation. I this like I'll entertain that thought, right? And I do think that LL is an arbitrary system. I loved it when I first saw it, if I'm being 100% honest. And I'm not saying this to shit on it. I'm just giving my unfiltered, honest opinion. It's just turning into. It's not that. It's like who played the shit the most, which I guess that translates to the most powerful things. But I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a game. Everything is arbitrary. I mean, that is a fair point. That's deep, but that is deep. Um, But rotation, this game just can't support a rotation. It just can't. And rotation in this game would have to be so large that it wouldn't do anything, because if it was too narrow, you imagine half these generics in some of these decks, right? You would have no synergistic power. It would all be defensive. It would just be defensive meta from then on out, because you wouldn't have enough cards to build an actual synergy. Defensive decks would rule unless you brought the rotation so wide that it really didn't matter, right? People were playing that's all you got instead of sink belows, and hold the lines instead of just they would just be swapping cards. But I understand what you're saying. Like I do get the point. I don't hate the idea. I just don't know how it could be implemented in a way it makes sense. To be honest. There needs to be talented hate in general. I don't disagree. Talents where all these heroes are talented that are LL. I understand the thought process. Just get more bloated carpools. I agree. Much like when they unban Centauri Sabers, bringing back Zen degrades my faith in the system. Yeah, and that's why I said that they should not have done that. It was a little sus, and like when I saw the announcement, I was like, really? Eh, I I understand it for really it's a lose-lose situation. If if it LLs in 2 weeks, then it's like, oh great, we were so out of touch with the balance that we let it just LL in literally 2 weeks. Or you stick to your guns. I don't think any of those situations are great, so I guess it doesn't really matter. um, Shadow had blood debt. Light had soul management. Mystic is play the blue card. Well, blue cards are red cards, right? That's kind of been my whole philosophy on the set. That there's no build opportunity cost paid for running blues. So you have extreme levels of consistency at no cost. Well, they brought back Young Zen as an apology to the Zen players. I mean, I'm sure. But once again, I just don't think that I don't think there was a win in that situation. I think there's tension between wanting strong heroes to LL and not warp a metagame for too long. I I think the LL system has its problems. The bright side is over rotation. Your hero has to eventually be good, playable to be banned. It's not good if you're a competitive player, I guess. Generics will be the problem going forward. I agree. We had a whole discussion on that. A hero rotation. I mean, that actually makes sense. And that's actually a very interesting idea, because one of the biggest complaints that I have right now is there's too many heroes in the pool. I think I remember somewhere that they said that like 20 heroes was like the ideal line, but now it'll be 36 when the new set comes out, I think. But interesting idea. Yeah. Analysis wants to deliver on the your card never loses playability message, but it turns out balance. Yeah. Um, yeah, when everything from the set LLs, there will be a lot of unplayable cards for sure. Uh, the real perfect way to balance this is to be able to nerf heroes directly without banning their cards and never have heroes leave the game. But then, I mean, I don't know. Then there's really no point to LL. Then I don't know. I think the game would just be so powered down to that point that nobody would be doing anything fun. The L system makes sense and works if and only if heroes like an MST don't stall every other hero on gaining point. I mean, that's a good point. That's actually a good point. Probably needs another supplemental set. I mean, let's take a hero like Riptide as an example. There's no one card you could develop that's gonna push Riptide into like a meta dump. Like Riptide's only hope is a set, and Riptide's actually in a shitty spot because they're gonna make a Ranger set, right? And it's probably coming up soon, to be honest. Probably the one after the Haunted. But they're not gonna make that hero have traps, right? So he's never gonna get like traps outside of the expansion slot. And I guess they could, but I it seems kind of sus. Um, but he's just never gonna get there off of one card a set. And I would make the point that a lot of heroes are like that. So I'm very interested to see kind of, although Riptide had his moment. Had his moment. I do miss the supplemental sets. You got whole toolkits and stuff. Like Everfest low key was gas. Revel and Runeblood, Swarming. Oh, all the good Runeblade gas. I think this game is working because of low hero, because of how hero centered it is. Yeah, yeah. Heroes leaving the game is not ideal. Yeah, I went through that when Briar left. I 100% agree, Kevin. I agree. They really don't use the life total to balance heroes enough. That could possibly be it. Bring back Skeletal, Viscera, and Blitz. Let's not do that. Can we just point back to Lexi about a year ago? We have the same argument that talents are busted. I mean, they're pretty good. It's a shame. Oh God, what is Vero saying? I never gave him the time of day, so now we have to sit here on Wednesdays and 9. No, listen. That's a pretty decent one. That's a pretty decent one. It's good, Vero, that I gave you the time of day though, so you don't have to stream at 9 p.m. EST. Ranger over here not having set support for so long is the worst army deck. Yeah. Oh, the Bolton one was kind of rough too. Yeah, it was the very next comment. Yeah, Bolton was. I had a lot of hope for that one, and it just did not turn up. Yeah, I think Bolton's just he's held back by design for sure, for sure. Even the cards they gave Riptide aren't great. I agree. Submill sets was like birthday party. Yeah, everybody got something. You were Guardian player. You got Macho Grande out of and Thunderquake out of Everfest. If you were Illusionist, you got the Blue Auras. I mean, bro, everybody got something. Oh, Everset was such a good set. I don't care what anybody said. Master sets will exist if Guardian is well received. They will do. I mean, I'm sure they'll do it, but I I don't know what they would after what I know about Jarl. I don't know what Guardian cards they would have to print for that class to be playable. I don't know. Or went out for Jason. We've seen that whole sets dedicated to one class don't even fix the problem. Exactly. Just because you get cards don't mean you get necessarily better. Although you get better, but it's not on a card to card ratio by any means. For example, I think Jarl, from a competitive standpoint, is going to be exceptionally mid, and he has the biggest card pool in the game. Is a very good example of that. You think they need to tone down the power of talent cards and stop undermining the non-talented hero? Well, I mean, so it's interesting, but you kind of have to look like, okay, if they power down talent cards, right? then everybody's just kind of like slapping each other with like wet noodles or yeah, with just wet noodles, right? And I don't know. I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. I think that you just can't make because there's a lot of talented heroes that aren't busted, right? Like Verdance isn't making anybody cry, right? I think Acilio is going to end up really good. Um, Levia, nobody's crying about that talent. Uh, let's see, Bolton's talented, right? You know, technically. Like there's some talented here. It's not just talent, it's talent that's pushed is the problem. And so I think that they can kind of they could work on it. Hard agree, CFK. Yeah. The missed assassin cards are literally stupidly strong. They're pretty good. Like they're blue, but not. Yep, Teckle Pounder was in Everfest. Met got T-Bone in Everfest. There's a lot of stuff in Everfest. So much stuff. There was not a single class that didn't get something that was good. Even Brutes got like Wild Ride and didn't they get Swing Big? Like everybody, bro. Everfest was the set, bro. People just don't know it. From my observations, LSS jumped into the whole talent thing way too fast. Untalented ones are showing their weaknesses because the numerical value of talent is so blurry. I kind of agree with that. Um, a 7 to 8 cost attack that hits 8 to 10 says damage. Yeah. Not all talents are created equal. Look at Bolton. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Talented heroes should only be allowed to run talents. Let's pump the brakes on that one. Let's pump the brake. You lose the class identity if you do that. Like then if you do that, the reverse happens. Then basically the talented heroes are dog shit and the regular ones are really, really good. I guess I said that too quickly. I guess you could print way more talent cards to kind of even that out, but it would just be weird. I don't think they could ever do something like that. The talent discussion is interesting though, because if you look at Rosetta, Viscera is arguably the best Rune Blade. Yes, I do agree with that. And he will not be in 3 months. He will not be in 3 months. But yes, I do agree. So it's not always talent. I think it's just plain old balance. I think people just caught up. Yes, most of the mishaps have been in the talented category, right? But Fi was well, damn, Fi is talented. Shit. Kano has been stupidly strong, right? At certain points, and he's fine. KO dominated the meta with no talent. I mean, like, it is what it is. Spend $1,200 on Jarl, not even strong. Felt like I was better off spending the money on a good hero and continued down buying all the warrior heroes in hope. I mean, it's tough. I think that's just TCGs though, right? Like I think that can just happen in just any. I think Jarl was they were scared of ice. They didn't want to. I think they played it safe. I'll put it that way. Yeah, Bare Fangs. Yep. I'm going to be honest, I have the biggest love-hate relationship with MST. So, I mean, let's talk about it for a second, though. Like, MST from a playable, like, just playing the set, it's really good. They're fun, right? Like, playing new is cool unless you're, like, playing CYB, then it's not. Zen is cool. Like, it's active. there's a lot of like sequencing that can be a lot better. Enigma is probably pretty fun to play, but very bad to play against from a fun perspective. And he just made top 8. I mean, sure, he did. Yep. And I did not say he's bad. I said he was mid. But they did a good job on like the heroes being fun, interactive, and like but Enigma. And it was a well-designed set. I think that they were scared into inaction on actually balancing what we knew was not balanced. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Like when the first Zen ban happened, and I know Brian said this during an interview. He said that he knew about the possibility that it could actually make the deck better. And that's what exactly happened, right? Like the testing team realized that the second you came off of 9 bonds, you created mid-range opportunity to pick your spots and then kill people, and it actually made the deck better. And if I don't know, if you know that that's the possibility, I don't know. Thinking back, that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you make a ban which is trying to achieve balance knowing that it could actually improve it? Okay. Anyway, moving on because that's a head scratcher. Um, do you think adult Voldo will have 42 health? I do. I do. We converged on truth. Push talents is the problem, not simply talent. I agree. I 100% agree. Somebody said rain raisins. uh Talent is an easy thing to point a finger at and blame. Yep, yep. It's just design balance. It has nothing to do with Everfest gave Warriors Blade Runner, Ninja got Hunter. I'm telling you, bro. Everfest was the set. Everybody got gas. Assassin wasn't out yet. Let's slow down. I really think MST is cool design. Yeah, like you said, like it was fun to play. It was just pushed, and I think they got scared into inaction. MST Heroes, fun to play, but miserable playing against. Just going to be honest and say that LSS new MST had to be a surefire success since that's exactly the first thing that we discussed was we knew that they had to make a very good impression on the Japanese market. Therefore, they intentionally pushed it in the development cycle. If you look at the theme, the art, all of it is they literally tailored the set to the Japanese market in every aspect: playability, power, art, theme, everything. And it was successful, but now I'm worried that there's an alarming thing that's coming up in the event that because look, if Zen LLs, right? Well, I think if we're being honest, I think currently the first one to LL will be Enigma. Then once Enigma goes, that opens the floodgate for new. Then new goes, and then when new goes, it will be Zen. I think that'll actually be the order of things going forward, of when they LL. But if you noticed, every time one of them LL'd, it just lifts up the next one down in that set, and it's very concerning because I think it's going to be a very quick cascading effect that's going to happen very quickly that is not going to be controllable. And I know some of you were thinking, but Nathan, there's the warrior reaction that gives +3 and damage can't be prevented. If that's all warrior needed, the win chance would not be 1%. Okay? That is not all warrior needs to beat Enigma. MST too strong. Maybe, but new lost to both in draft because they had a whole new marketplace of new players. They couldn't rip the hero from their hands. Yes, which is smart business. But now what's going to happen is they're gonna rip absolutely everything from their hands in 4 months' time. Is what's going to actively happen if they don't make a decision quickly. Because I'm going to put it this way. I know some of you are also thinking, but Nathan, there's the new set, right? Like, there's the new set. I'm gonna put it this way. One, I don't think any of them are gonna be able to touch the MST heroes. Okay, plain and simple. Not going to be able to do anything to the MST heroes. And I would beg the question to you: do you really want them to be able to? Because if we know something is pushed by a large margin, do you want something to be better than that? I don't really think that's the goal because then we're just replacing one effect with another. So yeah, in a perfect world, the Haunted will not dethrone the MST heroes, right? That's like an ideal situation overall for us, the players. But that means that they're gonna speed their way straight to LL once what is it, RTN season comes around or whatever the case may be. They'll all be gone. Brian did also say that while the ban could have the opposite effect, they didn't want to ban too heavy and just invalidate a hero right before national championship. Um, I so let's analyze that decision. We have two choices, right? We can so we have Zen before any bans, right? Really a problem. Everybody knows he is a problem, right? We have two choices. Well, technically three, apparently. We can either ban appropriately and balance the game. And then there's 100, 200 Dan Rakowskis that come out of the woods really mad that their hero got nerfed. I don't mean that in a bad way, Dan, if you see this. I'm just, it was funny. But, you know, like that's the situation. Or what happened, right? And you just don't balance the game at all. Or you could not touch anything, which those two decisions are the same thing, right? So if you make a ban decision knowing that it could have the opposite effect, don't make the fucking decision. Like I would have rather if they knew that, if they knew that it would make it better or even had the possibility to make it better. Like you don't have to nerf it to the ground, but you can make an effective ban and not ruin it right before Nat season. I think no decision is by default better than doing something that can make it worse. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Buy your copies of Blanche and Snag, yeah, because that's all we need. But I don't know. Like those are your two choices. I get it. You're banning something 2 weeks before Nats. I, I mean, how do we feel about that, chat? What's the worst? What's the worst of the two choices? Either forcing people to scramble to build new decks, slash, you're not forcing them to build new decks. You give players the opportunity to choose between acquiring a new deck or playing a lower power hero. And you have to fine tune it. Or a balanced game. Going into a national season, I don't care if it's 2 weeks before. I don't care what, I chat, you're gonna have to convince me on why balancing the game is not the correct choice, because I could be wrong. I don't claim to know everything. But giving people 2 weeks, right? Wait, Nats had 9 bonds in, right? Let me. When did these bans happen? It would have been like 2024 March. Oh, it's Crown of Seeds. July. Okay, this was the yellow and blue, which was post nationals because I played those colors at Nat. Yeah, so you're right. Okay, so they did that before Nats. Yeah. Okay, I was just trying to check myself. We get caught up in chat. Basically, due to the fact that talented heroes will always be able to use their talent pool, whatever. Yep. I'm still waiting for LSS to print a balanced illusionist. So it's my opinion that you have to bake a level of, for illusionists to do their job and what it's designed to do inside the game. You have to, um, okay. So Nats was full power, but PT was first banned. So how much time did we have between Nats and PT? That is the question. It would have been Amsterdam, right? Do they have a start date? Or like a link to event details? July 25th. So when was Nationals? Uh, 2024. It's about like June. Okay. June, I think, was the end of, if I'm not mistaken, was like the end of the Nat season. And that was like June 13th was when this article was written, and the end of July. So you had, so you basically had over a month and a half to pull a trigger. So I don't understand the 2 week argument because, okay, After you saw the Nationals data, you knew, boom, you knew. Actually, you probably knew halfway through Nat season that something needs to happen, right? Once you saw, to be honest, after the first week, you could have saw Evan Herndon's list, test it with the devs for 3 hours, and very quickly realized there's a problem here. We got to do something. So I'm going to say within 24 hours after that event concluded, they could have figured it out. But let's give them a week or two, right? So by the end of national seasons, they've had at least a week or so to come up with the idea that, okay, there is a problem. And then you have a month and a half to come up with a solution. So giving people, that gives you half a month to develop a solution, right? And implement it. And then that gives you a month before the event. So I don't, the argument of I don't get it. That one, ooh, that was, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're thinking PT Amsterdam. The issue is that they don't know if the light ban was enough and their worries was unfounded, or if they need to ban hard and validate Zen testing for PT. Let me read that again. The issue is that they don't know if the light ban was enough. Well, they knew the light ban was enough because they said they knew it could have made the deck better. So boom, right off the bat, the ban was not enough to create a balanced game. Period. End of point. So, and their worries are unfounded. Okay. If they need to ban hard and invalidate Zen testing for PT and national championship, I mean, this is the same company that literally created a ban and suspended announcement 2 weeks before the first Pro Tour and said that they did it because they like to shake up the meta. Or maybe it was the first World Championship. I don't remember which one. So I get it, but competitive players will adapt, especially if you give them a month. I mean, you make too many Chaos Town card, yeah. Gotta get caught up on chat. Are all losing to Prism, Awaken or Soul or something? We have balanced solutions right now. I mean, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I had to give him 30, what is it, 32 life? Sure. That is different than balance. Prism is the only balance after book burning. That's fair point. That's fair point. No chat on stream. Yeah, it's not working for some reason. I apologize. I actually think the LL points are too high. They should make it so 800 points LL. I mean, yeah. But that just exacerbates the problem. Not enough people. Maybe how many free people do you have if they're making 3 sets ahead? Not enough people. And I'm assuming you're talking about the turnaround that I'm. I then that's a business problem, right? You can't. A business does not have the leniency to say we don't have enough people to balance our game. That's not. That's like saying Walmart doesn't have enough cashiers to keep up the correct flow throughout the store. That's incorrect. They can have as many cashiers as they wanted. They just want to be as profitable as possible. right? And I'm not saying that LSS is making the same decision on profitability. I'm saying that they don't have enough people. If that is the problem, then they need more people, and that is a business decision. National championships ended July 7th? No shot. There's no way. (2024). I bet this says it in the article. Holy shit. Okay. So June 14th is when the Zen list was discovered, right? And so give you 2 weeks to test it. That puts it at July 1st. Okay. That is tight. That is tight. Because let's say a week after you find out, that's the 21st, or looking like the 23rd. You know, you spend like 3 hours on it. You realize, yeah, there's a problem here. You have a couple meetings, whatever the case may be. Boom, within a week, you start laying the pipeline of like, okay, people start thinking about it. And so that would be on like June 23rd. That's assuming the company's that agile. I have no fucking clue. And so that gives you exactly a month. So you have to develop and implement. Basically, you have to do it in a week. You have to come up with an adequate solution in a week, which that's a little tight. Ban happened July 8th. So that was 3 weeks before. 2.5. Could have said, hey, we see the problem. Ban happens at the end of Nat. Still give time. That's a great point. That's a great point. You could have said, hey, we realize something's happening and we're going to ban it as soon as at the conclusion of Nat season. Everybody has a plan, and that's good. That's a good idea. Which is what happened. I think the timeline again tight. I'll explain the situation should have even been a situation in the first place, which is the even better point, the more relevant point. So yeah. That is a shit situation. I will concede that point 100%. But like chat mentioned, a really good idea would have been a week after, the US Nats, when the results started screaming in from the second week. You probably have an idea that something needs to happen. And once you investigate, you probably could have sent a notice out like right at the conclusion of Nat season saying, we're looking into making changes, want to give everybody a heads up. And then gives you like a week to come up with a solution. And boom. They were so fast when they banned Duskblade in the season. I mean, that was a little different. They went super easy with Zen. They were scared to ban him too hard, and yeah. I mean, to be honest, they were not going to ban him, even if, because let's be honest, the bans needed at the time to correct Zen the correct way were a lot, right? They had to take away every version of bonds except one color. And then they had to take away Art of War. Is literally the changes that they had to make. they were not going to do that right after it entered the Japanese market, which is kind of what half this stream has been discussing, is kind of like the business decisions behind it and things like that. So even if somebody time traveled, laid a book on in their lap that said these are the answers to the problem, this is exactly what you ban, they wouldn't have done it. They would not have done it. For the same reason that Traverse the Universe is still a playable card, for the same reason Levels of Enlightenment is still a playable card. Would not have done it because it would undo all of the efforts that they had been working on for a year and a half to really break into the Japanese market in a very successful way. So the fact of like discussing the semantics of timing and things like that, I don't think it matters because I just do not think they would have done it. I don't. I mean, we didn't get a appropriate level. Let's go bands. When it would have been this one. This is the book burning. We did not get an appropriate level of Zen until September 4th. That was when we first got the appropriately balanced Zen, right? Because there's even an argument to be made that the MST heroes still are a little too good, although I will admit that Zen is currently the worst of the three. So he's the closest to being balanced. So that's when we got our answer, which was you have July, August. So you had a month and a half, which obviously a sweeping change like this takes a lot of time and a lot of discussion. So I don't know. They still didn't ban a card from MST. Oh man. Yep, Bond's gone, Art of War gone. I had to take Orion and Art of War. Insane. Let me get caught up in chat. More space in between events is ideal, but I mean, like, that's you can't make the spacing of the events for bands like that's so low on the priority list that they're only human. The people who schedule these events can't ask them to do that much. Then what super easy was in? Yeah, we already read that one. They just started treating illusionists like wizard and gay. Yeah, they just give illusionists a bunch of zaps. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but when you decide to bring a net new pushed hero to a top tier tournament, you're taking an inherent risk of this happening. That's actually a yes, that's a fair point in any other TCG other than this one. Like if you play any other TCG, you're like, oh yeah, this is just another Tuesday, right? But in Fab, that's not common at all. So I agree with you outside of these, outside of this game, 100%. Illusionist is just wrong. Let's be honest. It serves a purpose. I hate every aspect of it. I hate the extreme polarization. I understand polarization needs to exist for card games to be exciting, but it's to a degree in which I don't think you can ever have a good feeling illusionist game if you're one of those. If you're a hero that doesn't have the toolkit to beat it, basically. Was it a success? Are you asking, was it a successful break into the market? Yeah, I would say so. I would say the MST in the current rolling out of the set and the set after, I would say they had a successful break into the Japanese market. The overarching point that I'm trying to make for the stream is that I'm very concerned that they're gonna really have a hard situation when in 4 months none of the MST heroes are playable, and you're asking an entire market statistically to change decks. Uh, it's gonna be, I don't know. I don't know. I wish there was some way I could figure out what percentage of players in the Japanese market play an MST hero. I wish I could find that number, because I guarantee you it's kind of high. They did ban one card from MST. They banned Orion. Sure. The one you could play one up. They need more space. Yeah, honestly, Enigma and New are strong, but what makes people grumpy is how unfun playing against those heroes can feel. Um, yeah. Remember, they didn't know Zen was pushed. Uh, I mean, at the conclusion of that season, they had to know. They had to. Having two polarizing styles of hero in one set definitely makes MST feel worse. Lucius is like blue and MTG, you either love it or hate it. Yeah, but I was there blue decks in like standard that literally if you played against it and you were a color, you had a 5% win chance? Was it that bad in Magic? It can't be, because the natural design of Magic, the blue player could draw too many counter spells and not enough lands, or vice versa, right? And you can win those games. So theoretically, once again, I don't play MTG, but in a low power format like standard, and we're not talking like modern or anything like that, but like a low power format, any deck into any deck has to be like 25%, right? At least, because just off the basis of like mana flooding and and and, and stuff, right? Like Mama says Lucius is the devil. Oh, I love that movie. Waterboy's the goat. I mean, it could be wrong, but 50% of the players playing Zen, Enigma, and New, now they're going to have a new assassin, a new ninja in the new set. It's not that bad to the Japanese market. It is, because none of the cards. Okay, so you're going from a mystic talent that tells you you're playing half your deck blue to a draconic talent, which historically says you're going to run all reds, or at least a heavy dosage of reds. So yes, are they going to play similarly? Yes, but you are deleting $600 out of the pocket of almost every player that is playing an MST hero in 4 months. So yes, there will be a hero that they have the opportunity to spend $600 on that plays similarly, probably, but it's a feels bad. Ban Mirror Guy. Jesus. Oh, don't get me started. I want to see what a talentless illusionist would look like, because the class is typically very gimmicky and builds. I was interested in what was her name? Amir, the one on Flicker Trick, I think. Uh I thought she was gonna be like just a base illusionist, and I thought that'd be cool. Um, Shayna Breyer never felt as bad as Enigma in Zen, to be honest. I agree. Of course, Breyer didn't. Breyer stayed at 998 for like 3 months. Of course, she wasn't oppressive. When she first came out, she was a real big problem. But they fixed that shit in 3 weekends, bro. Like, as soon as Nats concluded, 2 days later, they came out with that shit. They knew Zen was pushed at Nats, but they didn't know he was pushed at released. I mean, sure. Yeah, they said they tested with Bonds. I guess not in. I mean, you can never expect their devs, what, 10 people maybe, to come up with what, you know, 100,000 games of data can supply, right? Like they're never going to, but they should be able to get close, or at least in the ballpark. Also, Japanese TCG market is super resilient, to put it one way. I think buying new decks quickly won't be a big adjustment for a lot of Japanese players. I agree with you, but I would also beg the point that those Japanese players have a lot of options that they're probably already playing, right? It's like, I agree. If this was the 100% their game and they like invested in anything, you're not losing those players. But like the player that's playing Pokemon Magic as their main game, and the $600 is dead, are they motivated enough to rebuy? I don't know. Interesting question. MST is cheap. It's not $600 gone. I mean, maybe. What is levels of enlightenment at? I just pulled $600 out of my ass. I don't know if that's the number or not, but I just dislike how it's always a corner of the meta. Could be Prism 2.0. Potential of breaking the game, having a hero with a tutor printed on it is not zero. Yeah. Yeah, Briar got halfway to LL before her errata, but she got she released. There was one. Yeah, she got released like 3 weeks before Nats, and then when Nats concluded, she just literally won everything is the problem. But yeah, so she like accumulated like half her LL points in 4 weeks, but they fixed it because they can't make a ban in Nat season. That's obviously not doable. But they made a change as soon as they possibly could. Let's start with the specific parts that are overpowered because Zen was not the problem. It's strong but not broken. So for those of you who haven't seen the other stream, my theory on why MST is a little overpowered is because it's a core concept of the game of Flesh and Blood that you, in your deck building decisions, you decide to run more blues to induce a source of consistency, but lower your power. Or you could be greedy on your blues and up your power, but reduce your consistency, is kind of the idea. It's kind of like a give and take kind of thing. MST is a talent, period. If you look at all the Mirror Guy, right? That's not a blue. I mean, it is, but like, that's more powerful than. I would go as far to say that Mirror Guy is more powerful of a card than Warrior's best red card. And it's, oh, by the way, it's a blue, right? I know you're gonna say, oh, but it doesn't block, but it does if you play it. Like, I don't know. Um, and then you have levels, which is literally E strike, but blue. You have what bonds of agony? Like that's a blue, and it's it's insane. And then Zen, you have Ancestral Harmony, which I know is not a Mystic card, but you have really Zen's problem was he could fuck a tutor. Like that's the problem there. In the fact that he has decent blues that just allow him to tutor. Um, so basically, the Mystic talent as a whole induced the ability to run a high blue count without sacrificing power, which means you got power, consistency, the whole pack. Persuasive Prognosis, that's another good blue. I mean, literally. What is when Azuri came out? What was her best red card, other than maybe her specialization, like non-specialization? What was Azuri's best red card when Azuri came out? That was not Shakedown. That was not a specialization. What was her best red card? Leave no witnesses? Death touch? Yeah, I would say leave no witnesses. So I would say that Prognosis is almost as good as that card. Because let's be honest, if Codex did not exist, is Leave No Witness really that good? Like, if Codex of Frailty was not a card, I don't think you would run. I mean, you might still run it, but like, it's not nearly as good. Yeah, Codex is yellow. 100%. Codex is yellow. Yeah, you probably still run it 100%, but it's like I don't know. Prognosis is like right up there with it. It's close. Bonds of Agony is definitely up there with it. I can guarantee that one. I mean, yeah, but we can't compare things in a vacuum. Just because they're not equal in a one card hand doesn't mean that the card's better or worse. Right. So, but my overarching point is you have cards that are literally better than some classes' best red card, and they're blue. Like, I don't know what else needs to be said. Um, and even if you want to argue the semantics, oh, it's technically not better. Even if it's in the same ballpark, if you would even use your time to entertain a discussion around a blue card being as good as the best red card of that set, I think we can agree we got a problem. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Um, so I just wanted to spend the time on stream to help the player base kind of understand the decisions that were made, why they were made, and how they're not terrible decisions, right? If I was LSS, I would have done the same thing. If I was breaking into the Japanese market, I would have pushed the set a little bit, maybe not as much, but I would have definitely set out to have a set better than the last three, like hands down. And I mean, that's what I would have done. And that's what they did. Did they miss the measurement a little bit? Sure, but it's a card game. There's a lot of mechanics. That's very easy to do. Um, Ultimately, and once again, I don't necessarily disagree with the inaction associated with correcting MST, because then again, you are kind of hindering market growth within a new game in a new market. And the problem is that is all summing up to become a problem when those heroes LL in 4 to 5 months. And I don't know what's going to happen. And I once again, I don't make these streams to just complain, or because I'm not really complaining. I just spent the past 30 seconds saying that I would have made the exact same decision. But it's been a while since, I don't know, like the Duskblade thing happened, and it was like, boom, we made a mistake, yada yada yada. I don't know. This whole MST situation, it feels a little different. I don't know what's different about it. I don't know. I'm just, I don't know. I'm kind of just ready for a we made a mistake, and maybe not a mistake. Maybe we made priority decisions, and like, I don't know. It's kind of like the whole reason why I got interested in Flesh and Blood was I loved LSS. Simple as that. Uh, Anytime I would see somebody at the LGS and try to talk them into it, I would always lead with the sales point or the sales pitch of, you know, like they're just for the players, right? Like they don't have shareholders they have to answer to. Like they're going to, I don't know, something feels off. I'm not saying that they're not for the players or anymore. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is, um, I don't know. Something's off. Something's been off for quite some time. It's very apparent. Uh, if anybody wants to disagree, like you're just coping if you think that MST is not unbalanced by every metric. And I think all of this is known by the player base. I don't know. I don't know. Not to mention they have insane finishes with 30 hot takes. Stealths are bad without. I mean, yeah. I would have had a lot more respect if they framed it that way and were more honest about it. Me too. Like if they said, hey, we made a calculated decision and we didn't want to ban something because we were worried about how it would impact a fresh market. However, the market has had 7 months to develop, and now we feel we have the opportunity to make changes without it impacting the market drastically. Oh, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go. Um, we didn't think Ninja would play ball. Oh, godly. You have to justify complaining to us, Nathan. We're on the internet. I mean, what's different about MST is they don't want to touch it because it's a popular product. Yeah, and it kind of spills over into the high octane thing too for me. Um, I eh, I think the MST heroes have two good hero abilities except new. Also, they have exceptional cards. Yep. Vote with your money. It's the only tool you have. That is why I did not attend Pro Tour Amsterdam. That is why I did not attend Worlds. Um, I just, you know, of course it's unbalanced. We've been playing entirely different meta than what they tested because everything was done with books legal. I mean, yeah, but like, okay. So if they look at the LL data that we just looked at, right? And they have way better data, hopefully, than I do looking at the LL stat board. And there should be something right around the corner, right? We should see a ban in early January, right? You don't want to do it before the holiday season because this is going to sound fucked up because maybe people are buying Part the Misveil boxes as Christmas presents or whatever. And then boom, in January, bam, got it. But for real, from a business standpoint, like that's when you would make a change, right? So like if they notice something, then maybe something should be done in January, right? So we'll see. I don't know. I hope. I think they just vastly underrated how good Transcend as a mechanic was far too pushed. I mean, I said it in the other stream. I said that they they're very keen about like thematic things, right? They want cards to feel a certain way. And James has said several times that he wanted to make it feel like you were actually transcending and doing something powerful. 100% agree. The problem was the cost to do that transcending was like way too easy. Now, it's very hard to, there's only so many things that you could bake in design wise, but playing a blue card when you print a bunch of gas blues is not enough. Um, so, just like Matt said, like I said earlier, the cards are fun to play. It's a well designed set as far as like entertainment to play. 100% agree. It just isn't balanced. It just isn't. People are definitely voting with their wallet at my store since MST attendance has cratered. Since casual decks don't stand a chance at fun games. Yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about. Um, like mm, the thing that kind of did it for me was MST came out. Or sorry, wrong set. We're talking so much about MST. Rosetta came out. And if you know anything about me, I mean, I got a fucking Briar card behind me. I specialized with Briar for 2.5, 3 years. It was my favorite thing ever. So, like, Rosetta is like if you were a mech player and Bright Lights was like actually had good constructed cards in it and was geared toward mech, right? So like Rosetta, there will never be another set unless they do fucking Aria or Rosetta 2 in 2028. You know, there'll never be another set that is like that's my shit. right? Like it's what I've been waiting for. There's not one rune blade. There's fucking two of them. Like it is literally everything I could have asked for. And when I opened the cards and play tested and all of those things, it it didn't matter. It it didn't matter. And I knew it didn't matter. I wanted Florian to work so bad, didn't work, you know. I even coped on it for a little too long. I know Aurora does a thing, and I think that people are gonna very quickly realize that Aurora is going to get worse and worse and worse when you realize all you gotta run is a couple 2 for 6s that, you know, that disrupt her and make her make trades. And I'm not saying she's bad, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that she's not the top deck that people thought she was. Um, and that's why her top 8 representation has been going down and down and down and down ever since Worlds. And it's why, like, literally Aurora is having a hard time beating Enigma now. Like, what kind of fucked up shit is that? And so, like, the spot that I'm in is like, I don't know. You had MST come out, it overpowered the shit out of Rosetta. I even remember somebody asked the question and they said that MST would not, you know, overshadow Rosetta, and it did. It did. Um, and I don't know, the set just it was my dream set. And as a competitive player, it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. Like Viscerai was great. Viscerai is what I'm like. If I was to play a CC event tomorrow, I would bring Viscerai. I enjoy playing today's Viscerai, but guess what? He's got like 820 points. He's almost gone. So even that is you know, it's tough. It's tough. They're gonna give the Starvo treatment, let it ride faster into the sunset. Just that's such a half-ass solution. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just think that it's there are people that are so insanely smart at LSS that there has to be somebody that can come up with a better solution than fucking let it ride or ship it, or whatever else. People at LSS are way, way too smart for that. Well, the next BNR is on the 14th. Okay, sure. Which is right after the Chicago Calling, which means it could be an LO ban, maybe. No, because that would give him like literally a day to work on. Yeah, so maybe on the 14th we should see something. I don't know. I doubt it. Because they always do a ban announcement before the haunted, and I'm not gonna kill shit right before Christmas like that. I don't know. We've had the same guy roll up with Enigma each week and win 90% of our locals. Yep. I voted with my wallet and didn't buy MST or anything since. It's a shame. But I understand. I understand. The competitiveness and lack of casual format is another thing that rubs me the wrong way. There's no support casual format. I had a theory when I first started playing the game that I don't think Flesh and Blood this is gonna be a hot take. This is gonna be a hot take, and I don't. I I'm not entirely sure that like any casual format of Flesh and Blood would truly thrive. It'll exist and people will love it. I'm not saying that. but I just don't see a world where it can actually like pick up traction or like I like if you're going to play a casual game, why are you playing Flesh and Blood? Like, does anybody casually play chess? I would imagine not, because that sounds extremely depressing. Yeah, like that's what I would do. Like I would play Hearthstone or Magic Arena if I was gonna casually play a card game, or even like I would go to like Pokemon or maybe something like that, or Lorcana. Lorcana's doing pretty good, like if I was gonna play casually, I I don't know. Aesthetics, mechanics, art, flavor, face to face interaction. Well, I agree with all those things. All those things are great in Flesh and Blood, but I, Talishar is the casual I mean, that is true. There is casual chess. I don't know. Maybe there is. I've never heard of it. I thought it was basically everybody cares about their elo in chess. And there's no like people that just play chess, right? If you play chess and you know what your elo is, you're not a casual player. Period. Because you wouldn't bother to look up your benchmarking against other people if you're casual. If MST heroes go, the rest of the hero pool feels interesting, right? I mean, maybe, but wouldn't that set a very bad tone that you release a set and every hero in that set LLs in 9 to 10 months? Is that the message that you want to send to players that we're trying to acquire? At the part where you talk about Rosetta coming out, and it's very true and sad. I mean, bro, it hit me. It hit me. I will never like another set more than Rosetta ever. Portland's my fault, but the only event that I've played is sealed at the world premiere, like major event. And that is probably one of the worst sealed formats there's ever been. Just play Florian. Pray you open Earth cards, and if you don't, you're upset. Draft is cool. Love Rosetta Draft. Late to the stream, did you talk yet about the theory that made MST overpowered on purpose to attract and keep newer? Yep. That's exactly what we discussed. That is it. The whole stream. Casual and fab don't belong in the same sentence. I agree loosely. Like people enjoy things that they enjoy, right? Like I'm not trying to take anything from it. I'm not trying to say, that it's wrong to enjoy it or anything. I'm just saying, holistically, it's not going to gain traction because it's a competitively minded game. Like It's like those high level strategy PC games, right? Like nobody casually plays that shit. You like learn every in and out of it, and you like just go all in, or that's it. PoE is an example. Yeah. We might talk about a little bit of that soon. Anybody playing PoE 2 on Friday? Let me know. Let me know what you're playing. Might talk about it at the end of the stream. There is casual chess, but like you just need to buy into it once. Rules are easy to learn. Okay. I don't know anything about chess. So I don't know. Casual aspect is for people who want to play, stick around the game, still see what's up with format. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Maybe a hot take, but casual fab is stuff like drafted armory. That's true. I agree. I think if you can't find joy in casual fab, you probably just don't actually find joy in fab. Satisfaction in winning and proving yourself sure, actually having fun and joy. I'm not sure. So that's a great point, AJ, but I have to disagree with it just because of the way I'm wired. So anything that now this is just me. I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, but this is just me. Anything that I engage with my time, I have to min max it. I don't have a choice. It's like I just have to. It's why I enjoyed poker so much. It's why I I'll give you an example. During the Thanksgiving holiday, me and some of the family were sitting around playing Cards Against Humanity. I'm sure a lot of you know what that is, but if you don't, it's basically this silly game where you read a sentence and you plug in a crazy word and makes a funny sentence. You pick the funniest one, and that person gets a point. And it's a party game. It's not, there's not supposed to be any strategic element to it. And I kid you not, the whole game, I was sitting there thinking, okay, that person laughed at that. It was logic based. So they give a lot of credit towards things that actually make sense. So when I put my card in, it needs to actually make sense and not just be a random funny. Oh, this person, they like the random funny stuff. Okay. And then you're like, oh, yeah, well, everybody does that. No, bro. I took it another step further. And I literally, when it started getting to the end of the game, when you get to like 7 or 10 cards, you win the game. Uh, and so I was trying to reverse engineer the different humor personalities of everybody at the table, and then trying to pick the card when it was my turn to give it to the person that had the least amount of cards. So if somebody thought that, like, if they were always picking the really random funny stuff and it was my turn to pick, I would, whether I wanted to or not, I would just pick the random funny thing because it increased the odds of giving the card to the losing player. I can't turn that shit off. I just can't do it. Now that's just me, right? And I don't expect anybody else to, like, behave like I do. But there's just like, I think Fab attracts competitive players or people that like to analyze and min max and things like that because it's in depth, right? I think in depth things do not appeal to people that don't like to analyze things. It's kind of where my theory basis is. There are some people that bridge that gap. I'm 100% sure that people that like to really that don't really like to spend time analyzing things, but they like the occasional challenge or something like that. Like there are those players, and that's where the casual, scene will come from. But the question is, how big is that pool? And this is pure speculation because I don't have a fucking clue, but I would imagine that it's way smaller than the competitive aspect of the game. Just my opinion. But it's a great point, AJ. Our armories have dwindled thanks to MST. Oof. I don't have an Elon chess. I just play my brother sometimes. I mean, okay. But I mean, a couple years ago, I played Battleship with my kids, but I don't like. I guess it's like, how often do you play? I don't know. I don't know anything about casual chess. There's no point. Some people casually hustle chess in New York. I mean, that's true. That's true. Played casually with a single friend for 1 year and a half before going to my first armory, and that's cool. Like that is awesome. I spent when I started the armory at my LGS, it was me and one other guy, Adam. I'll never forget. And we would just show up hoping that there would be a third person, man. And for the first 3 months, it was just me and him. We'd show up to armory, me and him would play, and yeah, it's kind of how I got started too. And I played with like family friends, Quack, and people like that. And yeah, I'm gonna dip since I made myself super angry in the process of this stream. Hey, girls, sir. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. You're not casual if you have to have a ranking. You absolutely get online. Rank chess. Me playing Fab casually is loading up 8-month-old Kasai list on Talishar. There's absolutely casual league players who done their promos, for example. That's fair. I am that player. Also, I think I am. And know a bunch of casual Fab players. I just think you don't see that outside your. But I'm that entirely could be true because to be honest, technically I just engaged with the first ever casual thing in Fab ever, and I'm gonna do I'm gonna be a part of the league that means nothing uh this season, whatever they call them. And the whole reason I did it was I looked at the hero list that they had, and they were like, "Yeah, we have every hero represented except one," and it was Arachne. And I was like, "Bro, just put me in so you can say all of them are there." So I'm gonna be playing Arachne in the league that means nothing. So I don't know. Maybe my mind will change when I get exposed to the more casual side of Fab. That is entirely a possibility. I could be completely wrong. Do competitive UPF. Ugh. This is just, ugh. Have you tried Bazaar? Okay. So I wanted to try Bazaar. I absolutely wanted to try Bazaar because I know I'll like it. I know for a fact I'll like it. The problem is PoE 2 is coming out. And I did not want another distraction. So I will get to it 100%, but I want to play PoE 2 first. I've played PoE casually. You play the first PoE casually? That's insane. I mean, I guess in a game like PoE, the line for casual or competitive is just how much time you put in it, right? I guess. I don't know. 9 to 10 month LL isn't. Yeah. I prefer competitive matches in games that have competitive formats. Winning, improving things to myself is great. You know, I just like learning from mistakes and stuff like that, and just like analyzing stuff. It's just what I really enjoy. Just what I really enjoy. I mean, I like Fab as opposed to years of Japanese card games where you lose game mechanics way more than the opponent. That is true. That is true. I tell you what, Fab just got the best community though. Like seriously, I know we get into some heated debates, right, on Twitter, and we aggressively disagree with each other in a lot of areas, especially on Twitter because it's not the best platform for communication. But man, going to events like Clay, you're the perfect example, bro. Like our first game at the calling at Nats, bro. Like that's what it's about. That's what it's about. I enjoyed that whole thing, and then checking back up with you on the next day, all of that. Like that shit was just. That's the reason that I play Flesh and Blood now, and also why I create content for this game. 100%. Games like that. Any predictions for calling this weekend? I didn't even know there was a calling this weekend. But yes, if MST heroes are legal there, they will probably do good unless it's LL. It's adorable that you literally can't imagine what a casual player's life might be. I can't do it. I literally cannot do it. This will be the whole Arachne thing will literally be like, you know, it'll be the first thing I've ever done like casually. Casually competitive. I didn't even know that was a thing. Paid closed beta also lame. Well, considering I paid $70 for an unfinished game, aka Diablo 4, I'm not gonna complain about it. I think I'm getting a pretty good deal if I'm being honest. Arachne is the most casual coded hero in the game. Oh man. Do you have any hope for Smash Palace? What is that? Do you think Fab will have any real growth past its current point without attracting the casual market? So, oh, AJ, that's a deep question. That's a deep question. Let's let's uh let's talk about that for a second because it's important. Um, you have so I don't know what Smash Palace is. 100%. Not a clue. But I can answer the other part. Do you think Fab will have real growth past its current point without attracting players in the casual market? And the answer is yes and no. If you look at what, from a business standpoint, like what brings in the most money, and ultimately what really thrives behind TCGs is the casual player base, period, bar none. Like, if you looked at Magic as an example, like 80% of everything comes from the casual players, maybe even more. All of it. However, I think that Flesh and Blood plays by different rules, right? And what I mean by that is I think it's the opposite. Well, we know it's the opposite, right? We know that the competitive landscape of Flesh and Blood is the driving factor for the game. Now, you have to ultimately Magic is mainly casual with a competitive scene, right? Nobody plays casual based on what the pros play, right? Or have even any involvement with what pros play or anything like that, or probably even fucking care about the pro. I don't know. I would imagine that like half of the Magic player base doesn't even give a shit about what goes on in the pro circuit and shit like that. Like they don't even care. They don't keep up with any of it or anything like that. Whereas in Flesh and Blood, I think it's everything. Now, I might be biased here because I'm competitively natured, but I think that the existence of the competitive scene. Well, first of all, the competitive players that come into the game, either it's a really good gaming system because it is, right? Or it's much more lucrative than Magic from a probability standpoint, right? Um, and without going into kind of like an animated style game, right? You probably make more money if you played like One Piece or like the fresh card game on the block that's animated and shit like that. But if you stay within like the I don't know what kind the Magic esque kind of style, it I don't know. I can't put my finger on why I think that the competitive aspect of Flesh and Blood drives everything, right? Because I don't I don't know if I can answer that question with any like substance behind it because I don't know how the brain works of a casual player. I truly don't. Clearly, I tried to game Cards Against Humanity. I have no fucking clue. I don't have a clue. And I tried to like logically get to something that made sense a second ago by just thinking through it, and I can't. I just can't. And I'm not going to tell you something. I if you know anything about the stream, the one thing that you're going to get on this stream is authenticity, 100%. And when I don't know something, I'm going to say it, and I just don't know. The game is applied mathematics to its core, 100%. And you know what? That's a great way to. Who likes doing math for fun? Like we all know those kids. I was one of them that would enjoy doing their multiplication table. But you would be an idiot to assume that the average person, the average human being, likes to just do math, right? Now, once you get into TCGs, right, you're statistically more likely to find somebody that just likes doing math for fun. But that's a really good way of putting it. Casual fab players. Oh, this is a quote. This is a quote. Casual fab players are people who like doing math homework for a test that doesn't exist. We solved it, chat. We have identified the casual flesh and blood player. we have zoomed in. We did it. Casual fab players are people who like doing math homework for a test that does not exist. We did it. That's it. So how many people would study for a math test that does not exist? And that's your answer, AJ. Thank you for helping me get there. And I don't know the answer to that question. Are we roasting each other? Nerd. Oh, but I mean, that's a good point. That's a good one. Casual appeal is how the applied math is dressed up. I agree. 100%. And like I said, I'm just trying to add a little humor to it. I don't mean anything negative to casual players. I don't hate like that. I don't even study for the real team. That was based. That was based. Fast math is apparent and shown to the player compared to games like Pokemon where math is hidden. Right, which gives you that's actually a really interesting point, right? Because let's translate that to, we were talking about, PoE. Let's just use that as a metaphor, right? So you have like video games, right? Where you have stuff that's like kind of on the simple side, right? Maybe like a first person shoot. I know they get deep at the highest level. I'm not trying to say that. And then you have like strategy games, right? And the player, but obviously, if you just look at sales volume, like the worst Call of Duty game ever made, period, probably will outsell PoE 2 to 1, right? Maybe 3 to 1, maybe 4 to 1, 5 to 1. I don't have a fucking clue, but I know more people would play that, right? And they've literally made 7 of the same thing in a row. So, yeah, like I don't know how many, and then Magic is like that Call of Duty aspect. So that's why ultimately, to answer your question, AJ, that you asked 45 minutes ago or however long ago, I don't think that the current structure of Fab can grow the casual scene. I truly do not. However, PvE could change that. PvE could be the thing that we need. And that could be the thing that introduces those casual players. It could be like your good recipe of like like take any like MMO or something like that. Like you had PvE players and you have like the PvP grinders, right? And like that could be, yeah, it's not real yet. Yeah. And hopefully it becomes real one day. But yeah, I don't know how close it is. But when that happens, UPF is not the answer. I'm telling you. The final version of casual flesh and blood is not UPF. It cannot be. It cannot be. And that's at least my opinion. That is my opinion. But PvE could be that version of the, because you can't incentivize people to do their math homework and not take the test, right? Like the army promo, like all of those things are important. They're important pieces, but it's not going to double the armory attendance, right? It just isn't. You have to functionally have something that is easily accessible in a market where you have so many options. And that's difficult to do. That is difficult to do. Like I should be studying from a battle hard this weekend, but I'm here instead. But do you regret it? That's the question. That's the question. All right. I'm going to open the chat up for anybody. Once again, I'm sorry that the chat's not working. I don't know what's wrong. I got to fix that. But I didn't want to take the time away from everybody to do that on stream because it would take me a minute probably. And I just want to give everybody the opportunity. If you have any questions about anything we discussed today, throw them in chat now. If not, we can talk a little. How many people are actually going to play PoE 2 when it launches on Friday? See, when I think of Flesh and Blood player, I think somebody who would love PoE 2. Didn't you say before that PvE is playing versus? That was based. Good point. Good point. Oh man, what are your thoughts on LL going into Chicago? Well, I will be at Chicago. The LL format is a way to play the card game Flesh and Blood. Um, it is a way to play the card game of Flesh and Blood. And Yeah. I so when I walked into the LL format, I was like, I cannot wait to play Briar. It's what I've been waiting for, right? The whole idea of Living Legend is for me to reconnect to what I lost, right? It's the whole idea, the attractiveness of the LL format. And as a competitive player, I cannot do that. And so what do I do now? If I know that it is 100% the wrong choice to actually like bring that hero. I could just bring her because I want to bring her. But once again, we talked about how I'm just wired in a way to where like I have to just be competitive, right? And I just can't do it. I don't know. And so I have no like real motivation to play the format. The format is very like coin flippy. Yes, you need to know the matchups, but honestly, a lot of the games are just like, oh, you drew this. Cool, congratulations. Um, this is what I'm looking at currently. If we're being honest, this is what I'm currently looking at playing. It's close, but it's not the same. It's not the same. But so overall, to answer your question, the LL format as a whole, it's very really high variance, high octane, just straight into your veins. But then at the same time, it's like a NASCAR race. But imagine if at some point in the race you can just run into 5 o'clock traffic, aka CYB deck, and it's like the most annoying shit on the planet. That is living legend. If a Formula One race could run into 5 o'clock traffic, that is living legend. There you go. Got PoE 2 on Friday. Let's go. I actually hate PoE. I mean, I never played the first one. This is my first go at it. So I tried to pick up PoE you know, like 6 months ago or something, and I didn't want to watch the 48-hour documentary to get started. Um so I'm gonna start with everybody on PoE too. I'm probably going to play this class. I'm gonna play Infernalist if I had to guess. There's a couple things in my build that I'm trying to like figure out, does it work, does it not? But yeah, looks cool. My second option would be Legionnaire, probably. Seems really strong. Seems really strong. I was wanting to do a minion build, which is obviously why I'm doing the Infernalist, but like at the same time, I was hoping that this 30% less cost of skills would actually apply to the reservation cost on minions. But since they're very specific about the words, to cast a spell, it's a cost and it's a reservation for minions, so it's not going to apply. Although +1 to all skills does apply because increasing the level of a minion spell or support gem, it does decrease the reservation. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. It cannot be worse than D4. It's already better than D4. I even played it. All right, I'm not gonna be that. All right, D4. So I played it right on release, and I played season 2 for about a week, and then I dropped it, and then played season 5, and haven't touched it since. I felt like season 5, I was like, okay. I am now playing a game that should be released. Until then, I was like, bro, I literally paid $70 for a beta, bro, and was not told. It's different with PoE because they're telling you. Yeah, D4 was too. There wasn't enough options. Like the Paragon board was a nice attempt, but the skill tree before that was absolute. Like you had 5 choices, but you only really had one choice, and it was kind of sus. A lot of people playing Monk. Monk seems cool. I just combo points are kind of annoying. So anytime I play a really deep, I consider PoE 2 a strategy game, right? I like to play something that's a little hands off, like a little bit, which is why I'm gonna go minion first and then try minion build. I'm also just curious, like how good the AI is on the minions. If it's bad, then I'm probably just gonna get rid of it really quickly, and move on to something else. Um, Disciple of Chula. So I want to be edgy. Hey, I respect. I haven't played the closed beta for PoE 1 and hated it. That's probably because everything since Diablo 2 and Titans. I don't even know what Titan Quest is. I love PoE, but when I started making characters to level and make gold to fund the real characters I wanted to play, I realized I might have had a problem. That's funny. The first PoE didn't hook me, but the changes they made on PoE 2. Yeah, I like the fact that they've just kind of like simplified everything. Like I love analyzing stuff like the skill tree. I mean, all of the like this stuff excites me. All the possibilities here and everything, but like I also there's actually just a lot of good design in the skill tree and how like it looks really complex, but when you really narrow it down, they just balance everything by travel distance, um, which is very intricate, and I actually really enjoy it. So like there is a a lot of possibilities, but at the same time, there's strict ways to just min max, which I kind of enjoy. Kind of cool. It is kind of cool. Not gonna lie. I used Blizzard's store credit on the game and was equally sad about it. Man, you got it for free and you were disappointed. Holy shit. That is. Oh, man. First PoE didn't hook me, but changes they made. Yep. Gimli might be good for minions as well. Yeah, that was the idea. I was just gonna go strength and then get the the regen node for minions and take it from there. That was the two I'm weighing between. Unsure on which one. I'm basically just gonna see how we actually get the skill tree. I'm gonna look around and see like how far I got to travel and what I need to cut off and make the decision based off that. But I'll play one of the two. uh, I played D4 season 4 on a Andy Rogue and got to 150 pits and quit. Yeah, I play Rogue every season. That's what I play in Diablo. Just what I enjoy. Do you happen to have a link to that to the skill tree or the ascendancies? Answer is yes to both. Just tell me which one you want. Be happy to give it to you. Weird how top tier games come from New Zealand based. Both of those companies are out of New Zealand. Turns out they just make good shit over there. Oh, both. Okay. Sure. Yep. So first one is going to be an overview of the ascendancies. There you go. And then the second one is just somebody's GitHub that takes you to the skill tree. The skill tree is not filled out. A lot of nodes are missing. It's just open source. People plugged in what they could see on people's videos. A lot of it's probably not going to be correct, but there it is. There is the passive skill tree as well. Titan Quest was D2 if they made it Greek Roman mythology. That sounds good. See, D this is gonna sound crazy. D4 was actually my first action RPG. I never yeah, I never played well, I take that back. I played Torchlight 2 for like a week. That's about the extent of it. That's yeah, that's like it's an action RPG. So I'm excited to get that started on a Friday. Looking forward to it. Might have to do a stream. I don't know. Games getting a lot of traction. You never know. Might have to be the PoE guys. Well, all right. I really, really do appreciate everybody being here. Like I said, when I started the stream, my goal was not to say somebody made a good decision, bad decision, or a medium decision. I just wanted to present the information in a way to where you had enough context to make your own decision on whether someone made a good or bad decision. And just wanted to equip you with the full theoretical speculated story. How weird that sounds. But yeah, I hope everybody I appreciate the discussion as well. I really do. I like the conflicting opinions and yeah. Also, this might be the last one of the year. I might do a stream next week on Wednesday. I'm unsure because I'm traveling to Chicago on Thursday early. We're making like a road trip out of it while we're leaving so early. But so unlikely that I'll stream on Wednesday. And if I don't stream on Wednesday, 100% that'll be it until the end of the year. Obviously, there won't be a lot going on. So I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, whatever you, or New Year's, whatever you celebrate. Also, holidays are times where people realize what they have and what they realize what they don't have. So those buddies at your LGSs and some of those friends and stuff, reach out to them. You know, just you know, let them hang out with them. Go grab lunch or something. If you know anybody that doesn't have a lot of family where they're around, I spent a lot of time in the military, and you know, it's not a good feeling when people are like away from family and can't get to family or don't have family, right? Just reach out and distract them for a little bit. But yeah, hope everybody has a good, not even a Christmas stream. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. But anybody being at Chicago, hope to see you there. And I hope everybody has a good rest of their year. Take care, everybody.